Okay, this is part 2 of chapter 9, and I'd like to explore the legal environment of human resources a little bit more because it is such a fascinating topic and an ever-changing one. So before that, I'd like you to take a look at some of the legal changes in recent decades, and we'll come back to that in the discussion forum. But first, I want to talk about, come back to the issue of hiring. And specifically, what about Samantha Eloff, who applied for Abercrombie & Fitch and was rejected as an applicant because she wears a hijab? Abercrombie's argument was that they have a certain quote-unquote look for employees. And if you ever been to Abercrombie & Fitch, you know that they've got the California kind of surfer boy look for their employees. They really specifically go for that. That was their argument. They said, okay, our business is based around this image, and she doesn't fit the image, therefore we didn't hire her. and as you can see on the slide, that didn't work out well for them. It was deemed to be what? And I'll go back to the previous slide so you can take a gander at the legal environment. Yes, indeed. If you guessed that it was deemed to be discrimination based on religion, you are correct. And that the gentleman who did not hire her was foolish enough to admit that he suspected that the head covering was for religious reasons. So they said, no, you definitely can't do that. So what about hiring decisions based on gender? If religion, going back, if religion is what they call a protected class, is gender a protected class? Well, let's look at a case that came about in the 1970s when a young man said, you know what, I would like to be a flight attendant. What a great way to see the world when you're young. And in fact, it is. The airline's response was, hey, dude, no, you're a dude. You can't do that. So at that point in time, if you were a flight attendant, it meant you're female. And the airline argued that customers prefer being served by women, and they could actually show that. They did some sort of a survey. And once again, the court said, you know what, we don't think so. We don't care that customers prefer being served by women, because guess what? A man can get a pillow, a man can serve a drink just as well as a woman. Therefore, coming back to the legal environment, you cannot discriminate based on gender. That is a protected class, okay, at the federal level. So let's look at being a firefighter. To be a firefighter, you have to be able to drag a 150-pound person up the steps, which frankly I couldn't do. I'm not even sure I could do that. When I was in my 20s, probably not. And in fact, most women can't. Some women certainly can. Some women in this class probably could do it quite easily. But most of us can't. So is the fact that to be a firefighter, you have to be able to do that, is that discrimination? Because it does weed out most women. So I'll give you a minute to think about that and how that might differ from being a flight attendant. And if you said, nah, I think that's not discrimination, you're absolutely right. It does weed out women, but the issue is something called a BFOQ, or bona fide occupational qualification. And in fact, thank God this is in place. I mean, should we ever have a fire, I'd like the firefighters to be able to do that. So that is, in fact, a requirement of the job. So, moving forward, same thing with disability. If the person cannot perform the job as required, then that needs to be taken into account. However, if they merely need some sort of accommodation, then the employer has to make that accommodation. So you can see under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, let me kind of highlight this, that it prohibits discrimination in employment practices based on sex, race, color, religion, or national origin. Those are what are termed protected classes. So let me throw out another what if. So let's say that you are hiring for an accounting position, and John shows up in a fetching skirt ensemble. And he says, well, my name is John, but I prefer to go by Joan. And you say, you know what? This is a really conservative organization. I don't think so. Can you reject that individual? And so I'll give you a minute to think about that, because it is a trick question. It is intended to be a trick question. So it's a two-part answer. That, if you're looking at Title VII on the slide, so gender identity is not covered at the federal level, so that would not fall under Title VII. Gender is, but not gender, or sex is, but not gender identity is not covered under the Civil Rights Act. However, it is covered under California law, so you need to consider both the federal law and local law. So being an HR professional is very exciting because things are always changing and things are always challenging. So going forward, a couple of other things to consider is, of course, OSHA, affirmative action, and I started to allude to ADA, or Americans with Disabilities Act. And I said that an employer has to make reasonable accommodations. So you might go, well, what is reasonable accommodation? So let me give you an example. In the past, I had an employee who alleged that she had a back problem. And so the company bought her a special chair. I mean, it was several $100s, but the argument was, well, that's a lot cheaper than the alternative. So I want to end with a proposed ad that I had brought up in section 1 and have you take a look at it and really think about it in light of what we discussed, and tell me in the discussion forum if you have any concerns about the ad, and if so, what those might be. I look forward to hearing from you.